அகர முதல எழுத்தெல்லாம் ஆதிபகவன் முதற்றே உலகு. The alphabet lives on the basis of the first letter A. Likewise, all the world, movable and immovable, is sustained by the faith in God.
Namaste everyone. Namaskaram. Happy that Sai Poguluru ji is our first get at Vidur Voices. He is a techie by profession and has served as CTO, CIO, and CISO of various companies. Beyond that, he is a guru. He has taken it as a mission to help bring light to deeper insights and guidance on Sanatana Dharma. Let us start the first episode of Vidur Voices by requesting Sai ji to say a shloka of his choice and also explain the meaning of the same. Thank you. Over to you, Saiji.
Namasarvebhyah. This is really paying respects to the gurus. Whatever I speak, if it is insightful, it is from gurus. Mukam karoti vachalam means even the dumb can become an orator. Pangum langayate girim. Those who are struggling to move couple of feet can climb mountains if blessings of guru are there. And these things are really historically documented in Indian Guru Parampara. Shankaracharya has demonstrated things during his Shankara Digvijayam. Sri Krishna as Jagat Guru has done this. Subramanya has seen his miracle. So this is essentially paying respects to our Guru lineage.
Thank you, Saigaru. Actually gave me some goosebumps when I actually say the word guru, right? Coming from a school that was basically built on Sanatana Dharma and named after Swami Vivekananda ji, like guru is at top of our list, right? Like say, there is also a saying in my school that says that parents are our first teachers and teachers are our second parents. And by teachers, I say them guru, right? Like the guru has the biggest impact on you. And thanks to my gurus, I have been able to learn a bit on Sanatana Dharma. But here, as a guru in front of us, like I would like to hear from you as to what the historical scriptures of us, I don't call it mythological or anything, but our historical scriptures say about Sanatana Dharma. And if you can give us a little bit of back as to what Sanatana Dharma means to you.
Yeah, I mean, typically when we take the word Sanatana and Dharma, the word itself is not heard by a lot of people for decades because it has taken a little bit of a backseat when the word Hinduism was coined and more frequently used. But Sanatana Dharma truly reflects that way of life. Sanatana literally means eternal. In Sanskrit, if you know, Adhya is today, Hyaha is yesterday, Shwaha is tomorrow, Sadha is always, and Sana and Sada are kind of synonymous. So that is relevant all the time. Dharma is typically split into couple of different aspects. We call it Rutam. That means this world operates according to a very defined set of broad rules and structures. But what that applies to you becomes Dharma. How do I practice it, right? We have driver's license, so we have rules for the road, we have rules for the car. How, as a driver, I practice it is what I'm signing up for. So, Sanatana Dharma, there are a couple of good definitions that we can reflect on it and say, wow, it says that Satyam Bruyat, Priyam Bruyat, Na Bruyat Satyam Apriyam, Priyancha Nanrutam Bruyat, Yesha Dharmaha Sanatanaha. What is Sanatana Dharma? Somebody asks, a simple answer is Satyam Bruyat. Tell always truth, of course. Satyam is further defined as Satyam. When you say something, it should not hurt anyone or anything around you. That means when you are in a position of responsibility, you say something. When there is a pandemic outbreak, you have to present the data, you have to present factually, but also to make sure that you present it in such a way it is not creating a panic. So it is much loaded Satyam word. So Satyam Bruyat, but when you say Priyam Bruyat, you wanted to make sure that you say that in a way that it is friendly, it is affectionate, it is received. Just because I wanted to sugarcoat, don't say asatyam. So this is what, because you started with Vivekananda, what inspired me and my wife is his quote, society is not a bad place because of activities of bad people, but because of inactivity of good people. I said that that is exactly when he explained this. Somebody wrote, walking on a razor's edge is what living a life of Sanatani. That means you are holding yourself to the highest standard of living or a way of life. And in Ramayana, when you ask Hanuman, he lives another small example, right? Kritecha pratikartavyam esha dharmaha sanatanaha. Means whenever somebody is doing you something good, you return the favor for generations. So this is what it is, not just I would benefit from an interaction, I would remember them for lifetime, and my gratitude will go beyond that individual, their family, their friends, and their societies. I'll be thankful and I will live in such a way.
That was a wonderful explanation. As you mentioned, like say, Satyam is just not about saying the truth. It should just not hurt others as well, right? Like say, I think in different scriptures, including Tirukural, I don't really remember the Kural as such, but I'll definitely get to it, at least for the viewers here, that where even Tiruvalluvar quotes the same thing, that you can say like, but you can say a lie, even then it shouldn't hurt. But the lie should be just like a white lie. It shouldn't be something that offends someone, that is betraying someone, or that is basically stopping someone, but try to stay on the path of truth always, right? So, and even say Avaya says the same thing, like, so always speak of the truth, speak of the good. So that is something that I believe that drives the Sanatana Dharma on in its foundation.
Yeah, I mean, see, this is fascination about the Bharata Varsha, right? If you take every state, their linguistic states, there are these realized souls. I would say that Avayar is a realized soul. She lived and she put her knowledge into such a small tidbits, right? Like Aram Sayya Virumbu. But even you start your day with an intent to live that value, right? That is like such a positive reinforcement. Like we have Telugu, we have something similar, very small, from Vemana. He is also a realized soul. He was living an ordinary life, and then at one point in time he goes through realization and presence. Just like that, we were talking about Tulsidas ji the other day when talking about Hanuman Chalisa. He also has like these kind of things from Ramcharitamanas and Hanuman Chalisa. They quote it in everyday way of life when you go up north.
So when you actually mention that living as a Sanatani is like living on a razor's edge, right? Actually explaining the Sanatana Dharma to others is also like a very much like a different task. Like say, different people have different perspectives, and people actually absorb it also in a different way. One of the struggles that I have had in my recent history is that how to explain Sanatana Dharma to a Gen Z kid or a 2K kid, so-called 2K kid, or even to say, we have had so many people of different communities or other religion come and say like, hey, you're saying that it's eternal, like how do I believe it? Or what is a very simple way to tell them that what this is what a dharma means? What in your take would be that, like how is it eternal to a, like say a person who is just born, like say in the last 10-15 years, or somebody coming from a different belief?
Yeah, so this is what it is, right? Like you need to appreciate something, you need to understand something. So you need to kind of dig little bit into it, learn, read, and read from those who have lived these values. So we'll kind of break it down into a couple of things, right? Like why am I a proud Sanatani? Because I'm always holding myself to highest degree of accountability. Manasa, Vacha, Karmana. Karmana means when I am caught in the act, I'll agree that I am guilty. But that is not what is Sanatana Dharma. Like whatever I say that is even not recorded, I'll hold. I'll not stop there. When I'm approaching a red light, nobody is around, no red light camera is there. Even a thought crosses in my mind that I could cross it while it is red and get away is considered not a virtue that you should carry. See, that is the highest accountability. So, don't you want your entire society to live where you are holding yourself? Because law can only take to certain extent. Ethics in society have to be elevated to a level where individuals are holding themselves accountable to a higher standard without law and enforcement. That is what is Sanatani. So that is why you take pride in. So that is the reason I would say that Sanatana Dharma has that kind of a higher virtuous living is what is Sanatana Dharma. And when you say that, when you, how it is eternal. So when we look at any science, as we are kind of progressing, I like driving. I have driven a road trip 10,000 kilometers plus. I never experienced the earth to be flat. So Sanatana Dharma always said that the earth is spherical. Sanatana Dharma always said that when you're talking about illusion, it says that it is like the blue sky illusion. Shankaracharya in his Viveka Chudamani says that, hey, it is like the blue sky illusion. So that means there is a much deeper thought. For a lot of us, what is blue sky illusion? Sky is blue, but science says that sky is not blue. And my experience is sun is rising and setting. But Sanatana Dharma scripture says that no, even though your lifestyle is following the rising and setting of the sun never rises and sets. That kind of a deeper knowledge is there. So it is a knowledge driven society shared by people who have transcended this human state of consciousness into an enlightened state of consciousness. They saw these worldly truth, we call it rhythm, as is. There's no kind of one person giving it. You can experience this knowledge at that elevated state of consciousness, and that was passed on generation to generation, not just a belief. When we talk about Shraddha, you have three types of pramana. Pratyaksha pramana means your senses can experience. Anumana, inferred. But Agama pramana is till the time you haven't visited a place, you rely on Karthik who has visited and he glorified the place. I will trust Karthik saying that once I go on there, I don't need to rely on Karthik's words. My experience is there. But till that time, my excitement is kind of carried by Karthik's excitement and how he puts it as you must visit this place. Thiruvannamalai, you must visit because that Giri Pradakshina will really give you great experience like that. So you need to take one example at the time, make it relatable to you based on your experiences. One size doesn't fit all. So we need to make sure that it is a knowledge driven society, talks about eternal knowledge that science is still uncovering, and that makes you fascinated saying that, because a concept called multiverse means we are not just in one universe. Now it is expanding. NASA recently says all of these things are there in simple Lalita Sahasranamam. Aneka Koti Brahmanda Janani Divya Vigraha. And she is the creator of the multiverse. So when you look at this and say that this cannot be a random act of words put together, this is the science of not just the universe we live in, it is the multiverse. So once you kind of get to tease this depth, and it says that it is going to empower you to experience while you are living, not this is an after death experience, right? That is the beauty of this knowledge, is you can experience it.
So when it comes to Gen Z, or rather even before going there, right? Like say, when you actually say this, certain things that I always tell people is that before the theory of evolution, we actually had like the Dasavatar that actually had the theory of evolution over there. And from Dasavatar, if you look at Varaha Murti, for example, like Varaha Avatar, so it basically has that earth, which is round in shape on its if you look at even Hanuman Chalisa, for example, it clearly tells you the distance between the earth and the sun, which is what Hanuman ji traveled as well, right? So when I say this, like I am saying this with pride. But when it comes to, say, the Gen Z or the 2K kids, one thing that fascinates them and also confuses them is that why so many gods? If the power is universal, if you say that there is like why do I need so many gods over here to go, right? You say it's a way of life, but what is Sanatana Dharma really like? Is it a way of life or is it just a belief? Like, how do we get into that aspect when we say that each one says it in a different way? Oh, if it is my way of life, then I'm also following Sanatana Dharma, right? Everyone has their own way then.
Yeah. So again, let's take a couple of questions I see here. One is the way of life is an ordered way of life, not a random way of life. No offense to any particular thing. like the expression is not like a cowboyish, right? Not your own way. When you live together, you should be surprised that Earth is rotating around itself and coming around Sun without colliding with anything. Means Earth is following its own Swadharma. Sun is following Swadharma. All the planets are following Swadharma. The energy that keeps all of these interplanetary attractions, gravity and enforcement is called Gabistinemi. It is coming in Vishnu Sahasranama, Science of Sahasranama. When I spoke, I explained. That's why Krishna also says the Karshati iti Krishna. So these are actual derived meanings. So when we say that it has that universe, so once we understand what my role is, I would be happy to follow. So that is the first part. You had another part of the question. Do you want to get to that one?
Yeah, yes, please. So the other part of the question is like, how do we actually impress this upon, like, say, anyone who just comes in, okay, how do we treat, like, say, I know that Sanatana Dharma exists for years, but why, how can I believe that these many gods being there, right? And who
So,
are these gods?
see, then many gods, I mean, everybody has to think through this one. I would say that I'm living in a city. I mean, anybody over 5,000 people living is called a new definition of city in North America. So you are living in a place. How many people are working to make your life easy? I'm not living in a one-man army city. I would rather not live because I want somebody to be responsible for my drainage system, monitoring it every night, every day, because temperature is minus 35 degrees centigrade. I don't want anything to freeze. I want the water to flow. I want the electricity to flow. Of course, I don't want an interruption to my Wi-Fi, right? And I want my cell phone signal. Just if you sit down and document how many people are behind your life and making it enjoyable every day, you would say that this is not possible by one. It should not be, it will not be. So when we look at the many gods, this is what is not understood is these are portfolios of responsibilities that they are holding. We call it Dikpalakas. When we look at East, Indra is Dikpalaka. Then we go to Agneya. Then we go to Dakshina, Yama. Then Niruti. Then we have Varuna. Then we have Vayu. Then we have Kubera, Ishana. So these are portfolios of responsibility, very beautifully, clearly explained that who is responsible for rains, Indra, but Varuna is the god of water. Previously, how rains used to come is not disturbing way of life because there were yajnas performed so that rains will come, pour for 18 minutes and then stop so that life is back to normal. So and it has to happen at least thrice a month, and what need to happen means keeping the equal balance and environment in such a way that you get this timely rain. That means so many gods. So like when you read, you will appreciate Kalidasa, a greatest poet. Everybody agrees that he says that Raghuvamsha Maharajas are like the sun extracting water during the summertime from these rivers so that it gives it back with 1,000% during the rainy season. Their taxing is such that they only do 1/6 of the tax. We wanted to live in a society where it is only 1/6 of our income is taxed. Look at that. It's just fascinating to see. That is why Ramaraja is really the
That's for
ideal.
living in a country where we are taxed at 40%. Yeah.
I mean, so we all are responsible for such a tax system. We need to see that why, root cause analysis, and we need to build towards such a model. So this multi-god concept, if not understood, it is typically misunderstood. It is a responsibility. There is actually only one Paramatma, but that one chief executive officer of the organization delegates its power to a next level C level, and the next C level will go to another executive level all the way, but accountability is there with board chairmans and they are actually appointing the CEO. The same kind of thing when you understand the god and the ecosystem, it is very much the same way, right? Shrishti, Sthiti, Laya. When you are creating, Brahma is responsible. Sustaining mode, accountability is there with Vishnu. When
Vishnu.
you are dissolving means recycling. When we create everything, we should think of this creation, sustenance, and
Use.
recycling. We are lot of times not creating things without taking these universal principles. That's why we are ending up with such a waste that is hazardous and harmful, and we are later on thinking how to recycle this. That's why we have, with even though electronics has helped and even helping us to communicate like this, but that is the biggest hazard or waste that is not addressed is electronic waste.
Yeah.
Coming back to multi God concept, is the same one Paramatma has manifested in many forms, taking different responsibilities for this universe to run in a very orderly form. To run anything in a highly orderly form with predictable behaviors, because for centuries we have predicted when the solar and lunar eclipse is going to come. That means this universe has a rhythm that is following. For that to happen, so many forces need to come together and fulfill their responsibilities. Does it make sense?
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. I was just thinking of some examples in my head, Saiji. So going back to the first topic that we actually took out, the first things that we spoke about Guru, right?
Yeah.
So I was just thinking, okay, the headmistress is basically like the Parampurul, or say even the correspondence is the Parampurul, and the correspondent is basically, or the group of people basically set you the principles to kind of govern you.
Correct.
And then you have, like, say, HMs or headmistress at each level, like primary school or say middle school and then high school, right? And then you have specific subject matter experts in chemistry, physics, biology. If you come home, the parents actually teach everything, right? But you have those subject matter experts in your gurus. And those are the God. Like if we take that same analogy to God, like say, that is what it's present, right? Vignaharta is basically Ganesha, right? And Ram is the one who showed us the righteous path of governing. And Krishna, there is no better diplomat than Krishna. And Shiva, like, to me, Shiva just had that simple way of life. I do not need any aesthetics to live my life. He showed that example, right? How to even live in cold. Like right now, we are living in Canada in minus 35, probably in Himalayas, he was living in whatnot. So these are the subject matters experts that tell us, I am for this particular reason, and this is how I'm going to. And another beautiful thing that you brought out, like say, being a product manager by profession, one thing that I always emphasize is like, we create a lot of things, right? Are we going into a sustainable model of development?
Absolutely.
And when we do that sustainable one, and the other one is basically, we always talk about, like say, code sunset. Like, are we taking out the junk code inside, or what do they call it, like tech debt? Are we answering the tech debt? Right? Most of the time, unfortunately, the tech debt never gets addressed.
Yeah, that is what is the Rakshasa Samharam. When we say that that tech debt that is going to really take the entire organization down, is what the Rajas like Rama or Krishna really went after, is to make sure that 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 is harmful to the society is considered Rakshasa. It is not a clan. See, this is what that Rakshasatvam is there within you also, not just somewhere. Personification is one thing. Yes, it does happen, because when it is, but it is also within you. You need to make sure that you are there. So, are you causing to the tech debt? Are you making sure that reuse is there? Are you making sure that this has to be sunset? This is an asset that is really a duplicate. How can you optimize? All of these thoughts, so many. Again, we don't need to do. The storytelling is done depending on one's interest. Shastras are Prabhu Samhita, they are like a rule book. Some people like rules, right? I get the rules, I'm okay. But Puranas, Suhrat Samhita, like a friendly stories. A lot of us like and connect to the stories. But some people really want emotional attachment. That is why Kanta Samhita, that is why the Itihasam Kavyams, they will really inspire you. They will put you, because the purpose of Kavya is Rasotpadana. That means your emotional juices have to flow and you feel that I'm there. Call for action is so emotionally connected. You say that, no, I don't want. Because if I cause this tech debt and create a cyber risk, my company is going to go down. So that kind of an emotional call for action is there in Kavyas.